Okay, I think we're live. So, hi guys. Welcome to the 10th episode of the All About FPL podcast or street. I'm your host Aditya, and I have FPL rebound Suresh and Sankalp with us, a regular panelist and co-host. And what do we have? With this is probably the key talking points, as you can see up on the screen, and then we'll move on to the next one. This is what we're going to cover in about the next 60 odd minutes. Just the big headlines, right? I mean, Chelsea shocked defeat to Zagreb. It was Tuchel's 100th game, and the next day he got sacked. Very Abramovich-esque move by Boyle, and they have it makes him set to a point, but I think they have appointed Graham Potter because Brighton have already put it up. Then
Yeah, it
City
is
cruise
official.
past Sevilla. Yeah, it's official. Since I had done it a bit earlier, I had not checked it up. City is past Sevilla. Haaland brace. Spurs beat Marseille. Richarlison scored a brace, and Liverpool lost to Napoli 4-1. Diaz scored a goal, but still, I mean, Liverpool, I don't know what's going on, but we'll see what happens in the next few games, whether they're able to turn things around. And for those who are interested in what happened in the weekend, as it was probably game week 6 was more or less the miserable weekend, as the average was just around like 40, 45 odd points. I mean, unless you had Prasad, Gross, and Tony Solanki, you would not have touched 45 points, at
Prasad
least is
owner.
what I would say. Yeah, unless you had them, you wouldn't have crossed 40 points or 45 points or anything. The rest all are under 35 like me. And these are the results. I mean, Everton Liverpool was a game wherein both the teams wanted the ball to go in, but it didn't go. Tony had trick. Jesse March was sent off in that game. Chelsea, controversial two VAR games we had. Chelsea again got lucky, got the 3 points, probably took Chelsea last good thing we did, unfortunately. And Newcastle Palace, this one again a VAR blunder. Solanki, the game. I mean, Forest were leading 2-0 and then they bottled up Spurs 2-1 against a tough Fulham. Mitrovic is proving all of us wrong this time. Foden scored a goal for Wolves. I sold Leon Bailey and he scored a goal this week. And all of a sudden, there is something interesting coming up later in this week for Bailey. Haaland scored a goal. Brighton was a good game.
Brighton
Then
game was.
United
I think
by
if you ask a game of the week, I think it's Brighton versus Leicester
it was going
easily.
this side. Then at the end, it just completely went one side only. And then we had United beating Arsenal 3-1. I will not talk
Bobby
more
Sankal,
because some.
should we talk more on that?
Then I
I
think
think we'll end with
my
that.
okay.
Yeah.
So some key
Good, good.
stats. I mean, Tony had most shots. Oka had 6 shots, and the most people are looking at him to get him. I think he's a differential pick, no, but he's more defensive player. So I don't know what people are
Yeah.
looking there. Mitrovic is proving us wrong this season. Every year people go with Mitrovic and it doesn't go well, but he's been playing good this season. McAllister, I mean, he should have scored a hat trick, but the one goal was rolled out for offside, the long shot. And Mateta had 4 shots. So these are the shots and chances created. Trippier, I think, picked up a bonus also as well this game. Just 7 pointer or 8 pointer. Jesus, 5 chances created, gross 5. KDB looked good against Villa. Son, 5 chances created. One goal was offside, I think, because Kane was in the build up somewhere. Moppy, again, the game again with Liverpool, there are a lot of chances. As you can see, these are a couple of numbers. Uh, Tony, the biggest overperformer, had an XG of 1.13, scored a hat trick. Rashford had an XG of 0.52, scored a brace. So these are the couple of stats for those stats in previous. And transfer trends. Well, Sankalp, can you go through this and let us know which one you think is more of like the bad bandwagon is left or this is the bandwagon?
Yeah. So currently for the transfer top-ins, we have Nick Pope leading it with 326,000 people. Right. Then we have Trippier. So the double Newcastle defense is now coming in, and it makes sense to me. I think we might be doing it a week earlier, but it still makes sense. This is the player these are the players that I would like to have. You have Diogo Dalot coming in at the third place. Again, very interesting. United are playing well, and Dalot is the more attacking fullback. Makes sense. Rashford coming in very sensible. McAllister is a player that I'm not very sure because he's on penalties. His entire XG has come from penalties, almost right. So he's a player that I'm not very sure. Anthony, again, makes sense from a team point of view. United are a team on the rise, but as a player, we didn't see a lot from him apart from that goal. So it's a bit early for me, but it's a punt, right? People might be wanting to move out of Diaz after seeing Liverpool's match, so you never know. And then you have Parcel Gross. Gross is a terrific player. Ivan Tony, I just sold him last week. So thank you, Tony, for that hat trick. Uh, Makes sense. Fixture wise makes sense. And Mitrovic is the astute buy for me. He's perhaps the most sensible third forward option that we have in the game right now. So I don't see
True.
any bandwagon apart from McAllister. I think, and that's the reason we did not have any price rises as well. Today for a change. Most of the transfers are sensible. People have got a hang of the game, and that's how they've started moving in now.
Yeah, I think
There are a lot of
McAllister
also.
doesn't really make sense
Yeah,
to
go
be
on, go on,
honest.
go on,
Yeah,
Suresh. Go on, go on.
yeah. I mean, I just
Yeah,
wanted to touch upon a couple of things. McAllister, yeah, as Sankal rightly mentioned out, he's not going to get a penalty or 25, 30 yards screamer week in, week out. So that doesn't make sense. So does Pascal Gross plays good, but Potter moving out of Brighton, that's a very big change for Brighton on the whole. So
And game
any
week 8
Brighton
is
as a
cancelled for them. Game week
exactly.
8 is
I was
cancelled for
going to
them.
exactly. I was going to Gaming Aid is not there, so it's not the right week to go grab these players. The same goes with Anthony as well. Yes, we are in a good run of results, but it is Palace away, so it is always tricky. So if you are rushing in to get the likes of Rashford or Anthony, so make sure that it is for the medium to long term. If you're expecting an immediate return, that may or may not happen.
But any one of these you would do, knowing that game week 9 is perhaps a wild card, right? Game week 8, game week 9, you are
True.
planning a wild card.
Yeah.
Any one of these transfers you would do?
Uh, Personally, no. Probably none of these. I'm trying to target a couple of other other folks.
Nice. We'll talk about it then.
Yeah.
yeah. So we'll go on to the next lot of transferred outside. Yeah, Mendy is obviously not being the same player as what he was last season. Chelsea defense also not overall doing it, but new manager is going to come in. Let's see how things go on. Perisic also getting transferred out by a lot. Trent and Salah probably, I think, are the rage wildcards happening where the triple Liverpool is going out most of the time. Kulusevski also, I think, probably has lost his place to Richarlison or was at a rotation, I'm not sure. But I think it was Richarlison, Son, and Kane, the front that we laid up against Marseille. So probably that is what they're looking at, and that's finally happened now.
He is still easily their best player, to start the
On
season
pitch.
with. Yeah, on pitch, probably it's a well-deserved rest kind of a thing. Yeah, he could come, but Richarlison, given the way he's playing, he's always going to be at the back of the manager's mind to pick one of these two out. That's going to be a tough decision. I personally have Kulusevski, so I'm in a very tricky scenario, thinking what to do.
That's why Suresh interrupted me and he went like he's been a great player because in game week 1 he got me a point out of nowhere.
I want people to stop. Calm down, guys. Don't be in a rush. But yeah, this week
Yeah,
it makes sense. Yeah, one benching midweek also he didn't start, but weekend it's Manchester City, so it makes sense kind of. But you never know. As Sankalp mentioned, if people are going to wildcard in game week 8 or 9, we might again start to look at the likes of Kulusevski or Richarlison. The Spurs fixtures going to get really good starting 8 and game week 9. So we might have to reconsider these guys in a few
Yeah,
weeks'
so
time.
this seems to be a popular strategy, among most of the FPL managers now, dead ending, right? So you just want to take 1 week, 2 week punts. It's like that game week 38 squad, right? Where this is not the team that is going to be there forever. So let me just do something, wild, right? So it makes sense for people to, move out someone like Trent even for a couple of weeks, knowing that in a wildcard I can always come back. It's just that, for example, Liverpool play Wolves at home and this can go very strongly in Liverpool's favor, so you never know. Overall, Liverpool have not played well. I looked at a squad at a stat today on Twitter and said Trent has 2 assists in the last 26 games for Liverpool across tournaments. It blew my mind. And like 2 assists in 26 games, and why am I so much worried about, right? So this is a team that is still, fluctuating. And if you're just looking to dead end, take a couple of weeks off, I don't think you should lose out a lot. But again, it's Wolves at home, you never know, right? That one weak punt prove costly to you.
Yeah, and in terms of
True.
Wolves also, Wolves are not great in front of the goal. They also struggling a lot, so they just just sneak games with 1-0 and all. So arguably Liverpool are struggling and they have to put up a fight, and it's the home game. So I think we could expect better things from Liverpool than a shocking draw or a defeat. So I don't see that that is one way to look at, but those who are transferring out Salah are not in that way. So that's pretty much and I think none of these are kind of surprising because Rodri was ruled out with a shoulder injury or something, so we're not sure on his status. So that's why it makes sense. Diaz, I think, is a hold for this week. Perisic could be rotated here and there, so that's why I think people are looking to move out. I think that's what I think. These are the key transfers. There's also one which I'm not concerned. So Cucurella is being transferred out by a lot, like around 156 or managers. Wait, before I go on, can you guys hear me properly? Fine, right?
Yep, yep.
Just a
Go on, go
confirmation.
on. You're good.
Okay, so we might have some network issues here and there because all of us are in Bangalore in India, and those who know that we had some issues with the rates and network connectivity. So just putting it out, if we have some all of a sudden drop off, then do bear with us. So these are transferred out, and I think pretty much is completed that. We look at what is next for us. That's game week 7 fixtures, and yeah, Potter more or less likely is the Chelsea boss, and I'm sure whether he'll take up the next one training session or so. We'll see whether that even happens or maybe he'll be on the stands. But a lot of interesting games here. Arsenal Everton is a very good game to target. Arsenal plays, I think, big for injury that Sankalp will talk a bit later.
I think Aditya, we have
And
started losing
I
you a
think,
bit.
yeah, we are losing you a bit,
Maybe.
Aditya. So probably,
Yeah.
yeah, we can fill in here. So Sankal, just a quick question. Any
Yeah.
particular fixture that you're targeting? Let's say we touched upon this 1 week or 2 week punts, right? Most of us might play the wild card in 8 or game week 9 probably. So is there a particular fixture that you're targeting, or would you suggest someone to target?
My current target, I might, sound a bit biased, but I would like to go for Arsenal Everton, right? Primarily because Arsenal have been playing well. Even, in the United match, we played well, right? And knowing that that was our first loss, now we are against Everton, who's like I think the second lowest or the second highest XGC in the entire league, right? So it's a team at home that I would really like to target. I am currently on Jesus as my captain. Obviously, I might fidget a bit, but I feel that with Haaland playing Spurs, Conte would look to really toughen up that defense, really control that central area. So it feels good to go for a 1 week punt this week for a captaincy at least, and it's currently on for me on Jesus, and that looks really good for a fixture that I would like to target. The other than that, I would talk a bit about Leeds because I think Leeds have been playing well attacking point of view. I'm not talking about the defense, but the attacking assets are looking good, right? And I think some players are definitely worth a punt. Given the price, right, at a price of 5.5 to 6 million, you have most of the good assets that Leeds has, and you can definitely bring down someone and give it a go.
Right, right. Yeah, for me as well, that's something Arsenal Everton is really going to be interesting watch this week. Given that Pickford is also out, so that makes
Yeah.
it even more interesting. So the other fixture I'm looking at, is Leicester City versus Aston Villa. So Leicester, as we know, has kind of become a team to target, which I'm quite surprised of with the quality of players that they have. But somehow Rodgers is not getting the hang of things now. So I was expecting probably he would be gone by now, but it's a surprise that Thomas Tuchel has
Tuchel
gone.
Tambola.
Yeah. So that was a surprise. So Aston Villa, Leicester City is a game that I'm looking to target probably, though it is an away game for Aston Villa, probably few assets from Aston Villa, and they might be a good option even for a medium to long term hold as well. The other fixture, as you mentioned, Leeds versus Nottingham Forest. Forest has been, one of the weaker defenses so far. They've been conceding quite a lot. They have a whole new team, which I believe is not, gelled on, not yet. So I think
Yeah.
Leeds pretty much are good in terms of attacking, though they concede quite a few goals. But they are definitely going to be one of the teams to target. Home game versus Nottingham Forest. Someone like a Bamford for a week or two could prove really worth.
I just want to add, especially on the Leicester Aston Villa bit, right? People are calling it El Sakiko or something, right? I think one of the reasons that you have not seen either of these coaches being sacked so far, because the sensible owners, club owners, are waiting for the international break, right? Which gives them some time to,
True.
take someone out, bring someone in, and give them time with the entire team, right? So it's possible that we see a change in coach for either of the clubs or even both of the clubs during that time. So, like you said, if you're starting with a player of either of these teams, right, they have good fixtures coming up, and you might as well go for the good, new manager bounce with these players.
True. 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 Possible.
I think I'm back. I've just done some changes, so
Sure.
it's better,
Yeah,
right?
we can
Yep.
hear you.
You look,
El
you look good,
Sequico
man.
was, and El Sequico is very. That's the most fascinating game of this week, probably. Who wants to be alive? Who wants to get sacked? So those were the fixtures. I mean, there's a lot of games. I think Arsenal, Everton, probably. I think the best game of this game week, arguably, is going to be City versus Spurs. It's going to
Yeah,
be
to
True.
watch
Man
definitely.
City
Yeah,
keeping
from a
most of the ball.
footballing aspect, yeah.
It's like Spurs will keep 25% possession and they'll win the game. So that's what will happen. And so we'll go on to
There was
the
one more
next
game
game.
which I wanted to touch upon, but that doesn't make
Uh,
sense now since Potter is gone. Never mind.
yeah, yeah. So I want Sankalp to take us through this because he wanted to cover up this very quickly because uh, this is basically as the numbers you can see up, or these are the graphs of how Chelsea played under Tuchel. And in the next slide, we will see how Potter and how Brighton played under Potter and what are the similarities. There are definitely some similarities we can kind of see here and there. So Sankalp, what is it up here?
Sure, definitely. Analytics FC is a very good website where they do a lot of analytics around football, right? And if you look at Graham Potter, and the way he has set up Brighton, right? You see against the bottom sides of the club, against the bottom teams, right? He goes really attacking. You see a lot of focus on counter press. You see a lot of keeping the ball, hence deep circulation. At the same time, you see a lot of focus on wing play, right? And that's one thing that I wanted to target. Players like Cucurella looked really well under him last year, and he likes to play with three at the back, four at the back. He experiments a bit, right? So unlike Tuchel, who tried to play primarily with three at the back, Potter can do both things. He's tactically very flexible, knows what are the he does a lot of analysis into the oppositions, and then sets up his team to attack or exploit those weaknesses. So I feel it will be very interesting to see how the fullbacks now start performing. I expect them to move to a four at the back now because Potter is a player who will like to attack really well, and Chelsea's fixtures now get better, right? Game week 8, 9 onwards, they are have a really good run up to I think game week 16 or something. So these are the fullbacks that most of us are on, right? And we are not getting points. So you might have people, looking to sell Reece James or looking to someone who has gone for Cucurella, looking to sell him. Cucurella is a player who has played under Potter, so he has that advantage. At the same time, I think just like we have been, watching Trossard do really well, right, from attacking point of view. Just remember that Sterling takes that position now, right? And Sterling is a class player, right? And when we looked at Brighton till last year, we saw that they kept underperforming their stats, right? Their XG stats, their XGC stats. But now Potter has a completely different team. He has good quality players under him. Expect the number of clean sheets to go up. Expect the number of goals to go up. So Chelsea attacking, wise was a no go for me till 2 matches, 3 matches back. Till last week when I decided to go Sterling for some reason, Salah to Sterling, just having fun. And now I feel that it's a good, if you're looking to punt, if you are looking to go ahead of wild card, dead end your team, right? These are some of the things that you can look at. This week, it's not an easy fixture going away to Fulham, but someone like Brighton, someone like Potter, we'll have to see how quickly he can create that impact. But I'm sure he'll set up his team very differently from how Tuchel was setting it up.
Yes. So Suresh, do you want to add anything to it before we move on?
So that's pretty much a good comprehensive cover which Sankalp has given. It's really going to be interesting to see how Porter takes Chelsea forward from here. In fact, I was someone who was looking to add another Chelsea defender if the fixtures are going to get eased out a bit, and kind of their midfield also get stabilized because they were losing a couple of key assets in their midfield. So that's something is interesting to going to be interesting in the next couple of weeks. So we might see once again the double Chelsea defense, going forward. That's going to be really interesting to watch. I'll give it a game or two to see how he settles in, and what kind of a formation that you want to take. Most likely, as Sankalp mentioned, it is going to be a four at the back, at least to begin with, which he is comfortable so far. But he can do both, so he can switch it to a 3-5-2 kind of a thing as well. So we'll give a game or two. Whatever current assets we hold, it's pretty much good to hold, I believe, be it the likes of Reece James or Cucurella. I think those guys are going to start this particular game week because he doesn't want to change radically in one particular week. Probably ease in his you know ideology into the team slowly and steadily. Yeah, I think Aditya, we are probably losing you once again. You're on mute.
Yeah, I think my connection went off a bit. It should be. I think. Yeah. So what I was saying is Kukurea transfer out was getting a bit weird. A lot of managers doing that right before or after this news. So I think just wait on Chelsea. We'll just wait and see. But those who have Chelsea players just hold. Reece James is probably going to be the most prominent one. So we go on to players to target, and it's Leon Bailey, right? Is the player to pick, and few game weeks back, we were looking at players to transfer out, and that was Bailey. So what a contrast, right? In a couple of weeks, all of a sudden out to it. So I want Suresh to take us through why he wants
Yeah,
to,
not
consider him.
it could sound so stupid or ridiculous even to suggest Bailey, in such a quick turnaround, but the game is in such a way, you have to adapt quickly, you have to take those punts coming your way. So Bailey is, the last two games, there's not much data still we have. He's been benched in the beginning of the season, played a few games and stuff, but in the last two games he has played really well. And particularly the last one, he got a goal, four chances created, six goal attempts, and an assist so far. So I think he's slowly and steadily getting there with all the price that he has been getting from his manager. So those kind of things are coming back. And for me, the primary reason why I wanted to look at someone like Bailey is that you can take a punt at someone like a 4.7 midfielder, and you can push the entire money elsewhere. You can go to from a 4.5 million forward to a premium or a mid-priced forward, for example, someone like a Bamford, let's say, for as a 1 week ban. So Bailey is also such a kind of a pick for me this week. Leicester City obviously have conceded quite a lot of goals. Morale-wise, they're pretty low. As you rightly mentioned, they are 19th, as you can see on the screen. They are 19th for goals conceded, and Bailey's next four fixtures is quite interesting. He faces Leicester City, who's 19th in terms of goal conceded, Southampton, who are 17th, Leeds 17th, Nottingham Forest 18th. So he is going to face teams who have conceded quite a lot of goals. So that's something interesting to watch. And on the flip side, big chances conceded as well. These teams are conceding quite heavily. So Bailey going to be thriving on the right, as rightly you have mentioned here. Game week 7, Leicester, and beyond that as well, decent run of fixtures. So Bailey is someone, as a good enabler where you want to have the likes of both Bailey and Andres Pereira kind of a thing and play around with the money elsewhere. So that will come in really handy in terms of how you want to switch your funds. There are more options if you even go elsewhere. People are shipping out the likes of Salah as well, so you can play around with the funds a lot along with such a cheap enabler.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I went from Bailey to Aronson, last game weekend. I was just laughed. So I don't know what to talk
So
about. We'll go to
you
the
didn't
next
do
slide.
worse than Tony to Nunes.
That hurts, man. Tony to Nunes, even even as a non even as a non-owner to even listen to that, it hurts quite bad. Yeah, I know the pain. Good one.
So we'll go to the next slide, and it's Pickford's injury is what is the key factor here. So as David honestly reported yesterday, that Pickford probably is out close for a month. Their second choice goalkeeper also is injured, so the third choice keeper, I think it's like Begovic or so, might play. So that is kind of a bad news for Everton because Pickford was excellent against Liverpool. He made a lot of saves. Uh, parried Salah's shot, hit the post, and so it was a totally chaotic game. And we have two players that Sankalp is recommending us to pick, obviously based on the fixture. One is someone who's highly owned, but as we saw, is close to what 300k managers has transferred him out. Another one is a frustrating pick that people dumped out a few weeks back. So take us through the first one.
The players that I would like to talk about is Saka and Jesus. Saka primarily because the last 2 weeks he has been picking up well. Right, I'm seeing that real change in the intensity in the way he's attacking the goals now, and he scored against United as well. Primarily, he's taking much more central areas. He's the thing that we are seeing Martinelli doing for the first 4 5 game weeks. Now we have started seeing Jesus doing well. Jesus is drifting a bit towards away from the wings, and you see Saka, drifting inwards, right? So is a player to look out for. He has only 10% ownership, around 11% ownership, and if you are looking to dead your team, right? If you have a 1 or 2 week punt, because I think the match after this is also at home for us. It's Spurs, but traditionally we do well against Spurs at home. We score well, right? And Saka has a good record against Spurs as well. So if you're looking to go for a punt, I think Saka makes a lot of sense. Arsenal play really well in attack, and the only strong defensive factor for Everton was the goalkeeper who has been playing really well. And Pickford is now out. The second goalkeeper is out. Begovic came in last season, game week 38 for them, and I think they considered on 5 goals at us at Emirates. Again, I think Everton did not have a lot of reasons to play well in that match, but at the same time, I think the team at Arsenal has improved a lot as well. The attack has improved a lot as well. So I expect a high scoring game here, and Saka is someone that I would like to target. Second, obviously, the second player that we are looking at is Gabriel Jesus. I know that a lot of players are selling him out, but unless you are on a wild card, I don't see any reason for us to sell him out ahead of this fixture, right? Uh, Again, this season, obviously, he's been on a good form. He's had 3 assists, he has scored 3 goals, he's created a ton of chances. But at the same time, history has shown that he likes scoring against Everton, right? He has scored 8 goals against Everton, and this is the his maximum number of goals scored against any Premier League opposition. So he likes playing, Everton. That feel good factor is something that I really like to see when it comes to strikers. Like there are always those memes that we used to see about Vardy attacking Southampton, Vardy not liking this team, etc., etc., right? And that would keep happening because when it comes to striker, it's a thing, right, where you have that feeling, right? This is a team that I love to play, right? And for Jesus, it seems it's Everton, right? So these are the two players for me as picks for this week. But even if you're looking for 2 weeks, I don't think there's anything wrong. You can definitely, if you have Jesus, I would say definitely hold on to him. Don't wildcard, just for the sake of wildcard. Keep these players who have good fixtures this week, and then think about it. In the next game week. Again, we have a lot of strikes news coming out. So we have already one match cancelled. You never know. We might have multiple matches cancelled, and then your strategy might have to change again.
Yes, indeed. So the game, I think it was Brighton against Palace that's been postponed.
Yeah.
So it is more likely to go in the second half of the season at this point, I think. Or if they get knocked out in one of the league cups, is what is the current schedule. It's a really early shout. So that game is gone. Unfortunately, we weren't expecting a blank fixture so quickly,
Yeah.
but
So
that's
soon.
how yeah, so that's how it happened. And the next player to target is my pick, that is Luis Sinistera. And he joined the Leeds from Feyenoord. He was excellent in the Eredivisie last season. And although he's just played 170, I think 180 odd minutes this season, because I think he had a thigh or a hamstring injury during the preseason and he was going to play a lot of the starting games. But he's looked good. He's very quick, uh, pacey counter attack guy. Very good with his feet, skills, and has a good finish in him. So obviously, I think he scored 2 goals in the last few games, 4 attempts, 1 goal, just 4 touches the box and one touch. Obviously, very less amount of minutes played because he's just coming off the bench. But the last 2 games, he's kind of played close to around the 60-minute mark. So that shows that Mars is finally getting him back because he wanted him in the first place and unfortunately couldn't be, selected because of injuries and all. And Leeds' run of games are still good on paper because they play Forest at home. The next game, although they play United, but then again it's Villa, Palace, and Arsenal, Leicester, Fulham. So these are all good games for that price. Although early shout looking at the fixtures because there's a long way to go. People will wildcard, chop and change. But for the next, I think, couple of game weeks, he's a good shout. And he's 6.5 and his ownership is 0.8. So those who want to take a punt for the next 2 weeks can do. And I mean, Leeds they're playing at home, so that has to be a response after that horrific defeat against Brentford. That's what came to my mind. So anything else you want to add on?
Definitely.
Any other players that is not up on the screen? Please shout.
I think Leeds for this game week definitely is a good shout. They are a team which does well in attack, right? I would not recommend going for the defensive fixtures, but when it comes to attack, it's very simple. I think any player that you pick, he'll give you some points even in tough fixtures. For example, they face United away. United after this, I expect them to give us some points. I don't expect them to win at all, but I expect them to keep giving us points. So if you're getting such a player, right, and he's still cheap, especially for this game week, I would, really love if I had a transfer plan, it would perhaps be Sinistera, at least for this game week.
Suresh, you want to add something, or we'll move on to the next segment? Any other players that you would like to mention? Just the quick fire names.
No, I think we have pretty much covered. You know, the fixtures that we have wanted to target that pretty much covers, and the players that we have. Can move on.
Okay, so I think the banner was running wrong. It had to be players to target, not transfer trends, but some glitch happened with the network, so it didn't reflect on the screen. So it was actually players to target. And the next one will go on to our your questions from Instagram. So we'll just pick through a couple of questions. Then we'll talk to captaincy at the end and our bus teams. So the first one is wildcard. There's a good argument of playing wildcard now. That's this week or the next week or game week 9, which is kind of what people have been saying since the start. So I think it makes sense to wildcard now. And I mean, if you want to catch up and you're dumping out Liverpool players, I think most of the managers who are wildcarding now are just transferring out Diaz, Salah, Trent, Robertson, all those players out. So do you think it makes sense to wildcard this week or maybe hold on to it and do it next week?
I
I
would
think
hold
we
on to
can
it.
make a case for it
Yeah.
for each week. Again, it's going to be cliche, but it depends on the team. But you can make a case for game week 7 or 8 or even 9. So this particular range, that's where most of the wildcards are going to be targeted. That's pretty much preset even before the season started. How the fixtures fall, what is the break that we are going to have. We pretty much had this kind of a setup getting into the season at the beginning itself. So it's pretty good time now. If you are performing really well and the team is really good, probably you can go for a stretch, holding it on for a little more while. But it makes sense with good set of the mid-tier teams having a fixture swing, you can try and target some differentials. So try and play some catch-up game.
For if you ask me, I would say if you are a wildcarding today, you would take out all your Arsenal assets and you will take out your Liverpool assets, right? And these are two teams who have good fixtures this game week, right? And if we have to add on to it, there's also Brighton, right? Where we most of the teams have Sanchez as the captain, goalkeeper by now, and a Trossard or a Gross or even a McAllister, right? So most of the teams have added one to two Brighton assets now. So you have 6 to 7 players who have good fixtures this game week, but next week it's not there, right? So Arsenal have Spurs away, which is tough. Liverpool will go, I think, Chelsea, and then Brighton have the game cancelled. And again, you might have more and more games cancelled. So it makes sense to wait a bit, see what are the matches which are going to get, get the go ahead for next week, and then make the plans accordingly, right? I think this year the case is there for every game week, right? Like you said, it's team dependent. At the same time, the template has not changed so far because the good players are doing well so far. Things have not changed. Obviously, we can take a punt, but we have to focus a lot on the timing. And it just doesn't seem right to me, to take out the Arsenal players when they're playing Everton, to take out the Liverpool players when they're playing Wolves, and also they have had two bad performances. So Klopp is going to go heavy on his players, right? That's how they came back and did a 9-0 against Bournemouth. You never know. We have a 4 or 5-0 against Wolves, right? So these are the fixtures that I would like to take. I'll take this week's points and then perhaps plan it something like this next week.
And another big question that we're seeing up also on the screen and people on chat is what to do with Mo Salah. Do I sell him? Do I keep him for this week? Do I take the price drop and sell him? Or if I sell him, who are the replacements? Where do I spread the funds? So this is kind of a big talk going on. The same goes with Trent and all. But I think it's similar for
Yeah.
Trent. You can just get in Trippier or some of the other guys and then shift your funds here and there. But for Salah, is someone like, are you willing to take this with them playing at Wolves at home and then if and so things go your way and don't go your way, right?
So where will you go if you sell Salah today, right? Price wise, it's Kevin De Bruyne, it's your Bruno, it's your Sterling, right? These are your top three replacement purely from a price point of view. Again, KDB is going to play Spurs. Sterling is going in a tricky match to Fulham, right, with a new coach. And Bruno, I don't think I don't think United have a very easy match as well. They're going Palace away, right? So all your replacements do not have that strong a fixture as well. So that's the same question, right? I have no doubt that Salah is now sellable. I sold him last week. I went for Sterling. I just picked someone and I went with it. But the idea is again, when do you do it, right? So this week does not look like the best time to do it. Again, it might come out really well. Salah might have a blank again, and Sterling or your Bruno, pick up some form and they might score. But logically, I feel like it's still very dicey. It's still very 50-50. I would rather save that transfer.
Okay, and Suresh,
Yeah, I think this is not the week. I would pretty much concur with Sankalp. If you have held on this long, probably this is not the week. You don't have, the right replacements from a price segment, as Sankalp mentioned. It's Wolves at home, not a pretty enticing fixture, but at the same time, not a very bad one either, right? You can hold on to him for one last game week, probably, if that's, the worst case scenario, if you have to build something like that around him. For me, it is still, Liverpool's midfield is what bothering both, their defense and attack. If they are missing someone like Thiago very badly. So once he comes back, probably that solidifies their midfield, and that's going to give some bit of support both attacking and defensive wise. So if you have held on to Salah this long, I think hold on to him this week and probably rethink. There will be better options open up next week. You'll see one game of Porter for Chelsea, so you'll know what are the likes of Sterling, where they're positioned. Next week you have someone like a Bruno, where you can shift. He plays on Leeds. You know that rivalry, that particular fixture. Bruno plays pretty well against them. uh, there are plenty of options that open up. To be honest, if you hold on to one more week, so that's what I would suggest.
And likewise, we just quickly touch upon even Trent Alexander-Arnold because even a lot of guys are transferring now. That there's also one question up about Trent. So, what do you do in this case?
Yeah, I think same. It goes. I would suggest the same. You know, one more week probably. Hold on to that, and then the fixtures also turn. Anyways, I think people are going to go and rapidly sell out. And one particular stat which Shankalp mentioned at the beginning of the stream was quite surprising for me as well. You know, 2 assists in 26 games. That's quite awkward. You know, the way we've built our mentality around looking at Trent. You know, he's always that kind of a guy who provides you double-digit returns week in, week out. That's sort of a mentality. We've always come with that. You know, that kind of a mentality. But looking at that stat, you know, that's staggering to be honest. But yeah, you can keep on because Wolves is not a great team who scores so many goals. You know, they're not that good. So probably this is not the week to sell.
Yeah, so I think in short, what we can say is any Liverpool player that you own, maybe it is Trent, Robertson, Diaz, Salah, Nunes, because even Nunes, many managers have got him over the last few weeks. Just it's just a definite hold for this week, and then you can ship maybe two out of them out, keep one, maybe ship three out, no wild card. So that is what probably is the best option at this point because Liverpool have to put up a show again now. So we could expect things happening there. And another question here, which I saw was Tone versus Isak for this particular game. With I mean, the Newcastle's main man also has been looking good, and Tone who scored a hat trick. So this week, who to go? And I think on a longer run, we have an answer right in front of us. But for the next coming game week, who will be ideal?
I think another trick question, to be honest, you know, I would pick Tony for this week and Isaac for long term. So that would be my answer in short.
Okay, Sakal, what do you think?
Okay. As a disgruntled Tony Seller, I think either of these players, whoever you pick, you have to look at them from a long-term point of view, right? Because these are not the players who will give you week on week, goals. These are the players who will, have one good day and give you 2 goals, have one good day and give you 3 goals, right? So whoever you pick, I would say just stick to that player. It's okay, but fixtures, like Suresh is pointing out, fixtures really support, Newcastle, right? So if you're looking for a long-term pick, it definitely has to be Isaac because of the fixtures and also because I think Newcastle play in a way that they set up Isaac, right? Unfortunately, Brentford play in a way where Tony sets up other players, right? So it's not always that you will see the final ball comes to Tony. You will see often Tony being the n-1 passer or the n-2 passer, right? Where the last pass is the one guy scoring the goal. So that is something that is one reason I might go for Isaac, where I expect him to be at the end of some such passes more often. But again, whoever you pick, just roll with it. See things out. I think over 6 weeks, over 7 weeks, they would give very similar returns.
There is one more interesting question which I just saw. Were taking a hit to transfer out Ramsdale and Robertson for Pope and Trippier.
Yeah, might not be this week, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
even I'm
again,
kind of in the same boat.
yeah, I never, you know, kind of encourage a -4 for a goalkeeper. That's a kind of way I play the game. So probably a no from me, but on a long-term basis, it makes sense.
Save your transfer and do it next week, right? Unless there's a
Yeah,
huge price restriction for you, I think we can easily do it next week.
true.
There's one question from the chat which has been up. What would you do Pascal Cross to Leon Bailey for this week?
Okay. First of all, congratulations, Aditya. 60K is a good, rank, especially early on into the season, something you can build on, right? Would you do Gross to Bailey? I won't do it this week again. I think the answers are fairly similar, primarily because I think the way Brighton team is set, it's set for this week, right? This week they know how to play under whatever they used to do under Potter. They will do the same thing today in the coming week. Things might change once the new coach comes into play, and he might have a different style, right? So if it's just 1 week thing that we are thinking of, I would rather stick to it. I would save that transfer. But over the next 4 weeks, Bailey comes out really well, and again, he's a player on form. He's playing all the bad teams, just like we pointed out. So over the long term, definitely, I might just save that transfer this week and move it next week because obviously they don't have a fixture as well, Brighton.
Okay, I think this lot of questions that are up on the screen are more or less there, unless I've missed out anything else. We'll go to the next lot.
There's
Uh,
one more question on the chat. Do you want to pick that?
which one is it?
Diaz to Madison for next
Yeah,
game week.
good. Minute of, yeah.
Yeah, so just on that, so Diaz to Madison next game week, probably you have to watch out what happens. The manager situation at Leicester. Definitely, they have a good run of fixtures, but you have to watch out for what happens with the manager scenario, and then take a call based on that.
Any day Roger gets sacked, I would pick up Madison the same day.
I saw a lot of questions in the previous slide, even here about the Brighton Palace game. So I think, in short, to put it up, the game is postponed for game week 8. It will be rescheduled sometime later in the season. So we don't know when. We are guessing somewhere in the second half once the World Cup and all is done. And it is more likely once, if both the sides are knocked out of their League Cups or FA Cups somewhere around is when it will be, they might either slot it in the blank game week or they might have a double sometime later. So that is what is the answer we can give now because we don't know how things will go on next few weeks, months or so. So that is done. And this one, nice question. We'll club the Man City questions. Sell Gundogan, who to replace him with? And another one, will Mahrez ever be a good asset?
No, see, good luck with predicting City, starting lineup. That goes without a saying. We can never, double guess Pep. So coming back to the question, selling Gundogan. So probably yes. It's time to let go Gundogan, and you have to look at a prominent player like Haaland and stick to that. Play around your midfield positions with some other teams. Probably that would be a wise
So
move, I
who
would
do
say.
you go for? Who do you go for? Is it Sancho or Rashford?
I wouldn't say United players, particularly not this game week. Probably next game week, it would make sense. Probably someone like what we have just discussed. Go for someone like a Saka. Even as a 1 week punt, or go for someone like someone from the Leeds midfield, who are a pretty good fixture. So I would rather target that kind of players for 1 week punt or even a longer run. So I would rather go that way.
I'm pretty okay on going for United asset. I think uh, now that we know Marcel is not coming back, Rashford looks really good. All the counters are set up for him to run into, right? Again, this is Palace is a difficult game week, but they are expected to score goals for sure, right? And Leeds is the perfect match to attack when it comes to United assets, right? So if you are really hung up on taking someone out this week, or taking Gundo out this week, go for someone like these guys. But if you're not, then hold on to Gundo this week. You never know because the way teams set up against City, against Haaland, right? If everyone is able to cover Haaland well, then Gundo runs into those spaces, and these are the perfect kind of games for Gundo to score a brace. So that's the difficult part of being a Gundo owner, right? So it's very difficult to predict his return, but one day he will give you 2 goals. You just have to hold on that long.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Exactly.
Gundogan is someone who will run into spaces, will create those big through balls and all. So in the game where despite mark games and all, we'll see what will happen. But yeah, I mean, if you want to replace Gundogan, United players aren't a bad shout, but we don't know which United player will get you point consistently because Sancho for some team weeks it went Rashford all of a sudden. Anthony scored a goal. Ronaldo has ended up staying. So Bruno is also there. So we don't know from where the chunk of points are going to come from the attack. But yeah, I mean for the price you can't ask for a lot for 6.5, 7.3 and all. I think it's a fair shot. So I think that kind of covers this one. More thing, what about Mikel Almiron? Because Newcastle's next run of games also good, and he's probably slotting to that 5 million slot along with Bailey and a couple of others. So what do you think of Almiron?
Just just one question. Will Mahrez ever be a good asset?
Don't know.
No,
No.
never.
I find it very difficult.
I mean,
He's a
don't get me wrong. Yeah, he's a good player, but never a good FPL option.
it's primarily because of the rotation, right? He gives you good points
Yeah.
over 90
Right.
minutes, but he rarely gets 90 minutes, right? So he's a good 1 week punt, right? If you somehow feel he starts this week, that's the week to go for. But I don't think this is that week either.
Yeah.
So no.
So I put up a question about Almiron. So he's someone in the 5 million spot, right, with Bailey and a couple of other players. So what do you think? Because Newcastle, I think next couple of games, 4 5 weeks, I think it looks good.
I'm pretty okay with Almiron assist. Almiron, pick. He's not someone again he's not a consistent guy. These are the glue picks, right? So if you are picking up a squad which is giving you which requires a glue pick, someone you just put and hope for the best, he's that guy. But anyone who's wildcarding now will be selling Salah, right? Or and might be selling Trent as well, right? So you are always going to be in a surplus of money. So I don't think there is a need for you to go to Almiron unless you are a guy like me who's already used his wildcard, right? And then you are looking for small things to do. Then you might as well do it and hope for the best. But if you are someone who has a wildcard coming on or will have, I will not suggest. And I think you will have money and you can do much better.
Okay, there's one question in the chat which I'll pin up and then we'll go to the next our first team and captain. So this one is a planned transfer move that's he's looking to sell Salah and Gabriel Jesus for Madison and Mitrovic next week. He's asking whether this looks good on paper or we can try it out anything else.
Yeah, next week I would do it definitely. But where are you using the rest of the money? You will have like another 5 6 million left. Where is it going?
Probably upgrading, a cheaper midfielder or a forward, to a
Mhm. So if
mid-priced.
we know all three, yeah, if you know all the three moves, I think it makes more sense. But even then,
True.
even if you're keeping 6 million in the bank, I think it's a good move.
Okay, so we'll go on to our next slide. That's our first teams for this week. I have not made any transfer so far. I don't know about Sankalp and Suresh if they have made any other moves before meeting the price raises versus Sankalp. Your team is first on the left.
Yeah, so for the people listening on audio, I'll just read it out. I have also not made any change this week. I'm going to roll my team. Right, so it's Raya at the back, Trent, Trippier, and James playing for me, and in the middle I have Luis Diaz, Sterling, Gross, and Martinelli. Darwin, Jesus, and Haaland at the front. So it's a 3-4-3 with the captaincy currently on Jesus. On the bench, I have Cucurella, Neco Williams, and Da Silva. That's and Ward obviously as a filler.
So
Oh,
as you said,
what
you're rolling
luxury
for
you
some
have, man. Benching
Cucurella
Cucurella.
is first sub, yeah.
So I have taken enough of his one pointers. And Fulham away, unfortunately, I don't expect a clean sheet. I think Fulham at home are playing really well. Looking at the players, right? Who do I bench? And that's the problem when you sell Salah, right? You have so much money, and take players more than you should, right? And you'll always have that benching problem. You have to bench someone. So last week I benched Trippier, and I missed out on an 8 pointer in a very crucial game. So it's very difficult to take these decisions for me. This week it's Cucurella. Let's see, he might as well give a double-digit haul and make me regret it. But very difficult to bench the other players.
Okay. So the next is my team, which is on screen. So I have Raya in goal, Veltman, Reece James, Trent, and Cancelo, Martinelli, Salah, Diaz, and Aronson. Now Haaland and Jesus, and obviously my bench will be that bad with Pereira, Williams, and Sam Greenwood along with Ward. My captaincy is on Jesus. I think the save is sometimes getting us on Jesus at this point. We'll discuss the big captaincy in the next couple of minutes or so. I mean, probably I might not do any move this week, but I might use up my two transfers for next week completely and then wildcard the week next. So that's what my plan is because I don't seem to fiddle out here and there. That's my team for now. And next, go on to the next team that is Suresh's team.
So my team, I have Sanchez at goal, Kyle Walker, Trent, Cucurella, Trippier. Four at the back, Martinelli, Trossard, Salah, Kulusevski, Jesus and Haaland. So my bench looks like Nico Williams, Andres Pereira, and Greenwood. So currently the captaincy is on Salah, but that is that is going to change places a couple of times before the deadline. Most likely Jesus or I might leave it out on Salah once again and face the heat. My transfers, yeah, even I haven't made any transfers so far, but I'm definitely going to make one or even take a -4. So most likely Kulusevski is going to make way for someone like Leeds midfielder or even Leon Bailey, whom I touched upon. And I'm looking to upgrade Greenwood if I'm going to go as slow as Leon Bailey, and then upgrade someone like a Greenwood, to the likes of Tony or Mitrovic kind of a player. So that's what I'm looking at. If I'm just waiting on Walker's injury update, if he's not going to play, probably I'll take that -4, bring in the attacker in place of Walker, or probably Nico Williams will make into the playing 11.
Not playing Andreas Pereira, the ex-United guy.
Not this game week. Chelsea at home. Not expecting much to be honest.
Okay, so we have
Yes.
just a couple of minutes before we wind up. So we'll go to captaincy options. So I think why this kind of set on Jesus just because of Pickford's injury and Arsenal playing at home is kind of the logic here. The next best
Same
option
here.
would be Salah because Wolves at home and Liverpool have something to play for. Then, if you look at the Man City players like Haaland, KDB is someone who plays big games, so he's definitely probably a differential pick, someone who rise up to big games. But Haaland at Tottenham are so defensive side, they're defensively astute, well trained, that's going to be a nice game to watch, but it is something better. I mean, it's better not to get on Haaland and watch the game rather than see the two-pointer at the end.
He can still score. He can still
Yeah,
score.
he
He
can
can
still
still
score. He
score
can bully
two.
them.
He
So
can
yeah,
he can score one, two, or three. You never know what happens, right? That is
yeah,
always going to be there. If you ask me, my second choice would have been Darwin and Nunes because I think Wolves at home again. He is getting into the right positions, but it's a huge punt, and that's the reason my vice captaincy is still at with Haaland. And I know that guy can still score any day he wants to. It's just that's how boring the game has become when it comes to captaincy. This is perhaps the only week that I'll be able to take this kind of punt, or else I would definitely go back to Haaland and just keep it there.
yeah. Haaland has not yet blanked this season, so it's something to keep an eye. Suresh, you're stuck with Salah, right?
I'm, I'm stuck in the 2 millions, man. So you pretty much know where I am
Even I'm
with
stuck.
my captaincy. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm just playing the patience game here. Probably one haul to get me back. So let's see. I might leave it on Salah, as I told, or the best bet would be move it to Jesus as you guys. So that's
We
the
are
most likely
influencing you.
option. Most likely, most likely I'll end up doing that as well. We'll see.
okay, so that kind of brings us to the end of this episode 10, the 10th stream of the All About FPL podcast. And it was nice having a chat with Suresh and Sankalp. And hopefully, this game week doesn't turn out to be what game week 6 went with a very tough points for most of us, hardly scraping 30s and 40s. So we'll be back next week, I think around Thursday, because we have UCL games in the midweek. So with UCL in picture now, it is better to stream a bit later with much more information. And there are also Europa League games tonight. I think United are playing Sociedad and Arsenal are playing, I think, FC Zurich, and West Ham are playing Conference League. So we have a couple of other games, so we could get better information towards the end. So just be patient and then make your moves because the big games are now started. And yeah, we'll see you all next week. Seeing how Game Week 8 will previewing Game Week 8 and just seeing how Game Week 7 will.
See you guys. Good luck.